All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. We're looking at a frankly brilliant leadership masterclass on the dangers of the echo chamber, and we're pulling it straight from the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata. It's wild to think about, but this text breaks down human psychology, especially when it comes to power, leadership, and the whole yes men trap, so perfectly that it feels like it could have been written yesterday. We're going to break down how one of literature's greatest kings navigated this massive, high-stakes choice. And, spoiler alert, he doesn't do it by listening to the roaring applause of his followers, but by stepping back and analyzing the very nature of the advice he was getting. Let's get started. So right at the start of our source text, we meet King Yudhishthira. Now, he's just heard all about the immense glory and unbelievable happiness of these legendary ancient monarchs. But instead of celebrating, he's sighing heavily. He literally has no peace of mind. Just imagine that for a second. You're a massively successful leader sitting at the absolute pinnacle of society, and yet you're just eaten up by anxiety. Why? Because he's contemplating a massive expansion of his empire, and he completely gets the gravity of what he's about to undertake. He isn't taking this lightly at all. To really get why he's so stressed, we have to understand the Rajasuya. Okay, this isn't just your standard weekend ceremony or a basic royal ritual. No, this is a monumental, ultra-high-stakes expansion strategy. The text explicitly tells us that a king who already has a kingdom uses this sacrifice to literally acquire the attributes of an emperor, specifically the powers of the god Varuna. Pull this off and you are officially installed as the sovereign of the empire. You become the quote-unquote conqueror of all. To put that into modern business terms, it's like a massive hostile takeover, a mega IPO, and a global expansion all rolled into one irreversible move. It's huge. But before we get into how he actually makes this decision, we need to understand who we're dealing with here. Yudhishthira is not some tyrant ruling by whim. The text describes a guy whose entire operating principle is giving everyone exactly what is due to them. He works for the good of all, no favorites, completely shaking off anger and arrogance. And the result? He gets the title Ajatasatru, meaning one with no enemy at all. Listen to this. The text even notes that the people he conquered ended up loving him more than their own parents. I mean, that is just a staggering approval rating, right? He is fundamentally a universally loved, virtuous leader. And he didn't build this flawless foundation by micromanaging everything himself. He did it through brilliant delegation. He handed off specific, absolutely critical tasks to his highly capable brothers. You've got Bhima ruling justly on the domestic front, Arjuna, the legendary warrior, protecting everyone from external threats, the wise Sahadeva handling impartial justice, and Nakula basically acting as the face of natural humility toward everyone. He built a perfectly balanced executive team. This wasn't an empire held together by one guy's ego. It was a well-oiled machine where responsibilities perfectly matched individual strengths. Because of that perfect balance, his administration hits unbelievable success metrics. I mean, the source text basically describes a literal utopia. Moneylenders, agriculture, trade, all booming. Abundant rain. Zero extortion. No one's breathing down your neck for rent arrears. People literally had no fear of disease or fire or theft. It's a kingdom entirely free from disputes. I really want to emphasize this because it proves his baseline is absolute perfection. He has everything to lose. If this Rajasuya expansion goes sideways, he blows up a paradise on earth. So here's where the central conflict of our explainer kicks in. Yudhishthira is smart. He knows this Rajasuya thing is super dangerous. So what does he do? He pulls in his counselors, his brothers, his wise ministers, and asks for their advice. And what do they tell him? Quote, "Therefore, O great king, let thy resolution be taken to perform this sacrifice without further discussion." Bam! Instant echo chamber. They're telling him he's worthy. The time is right. They're all obedient to him. Just go for it. They are feeding him exactly what an ambitious leader wants to hear. It's serious whiplash here. On one side, you've got the court flashing this massive green light. All these enthusiastic, bold voices just pushing him to hit the gas. But on the other side, you have Yudhishthira's completely silent internal hesitation. The text points out that, sure, mentally he accepted their words, but he repeatedly thought over the matter. You can really feel that heavy, solitary burden of leadership. It is incredibly lonely at the top, especially when everyone below you is just cheering, completely refusing to point out the giant cliff you might be driving toward. So, how does a genuinely great leader handle that? Well, he knew that the wise never come to grief owing to their always acting after full deliberation. He might accept their support mentally, but he's way too smart to just coast along on the backs of yes men. He firmly hits the brakes. He realizes a decision of this scale cannot just be rubber-stamped by a cheering crowd. He knows you have to look right past that illusion of consensus and take a hard, deliberate pause. Instead of getting swept up in all that hype, he pragmatically zooms out and forces a total logistical reality check. The text spells out his thought process perfectly. He's motivated by a desire to do good for the world, sure, but he resolves the matter in his mind by evaluating 3 cold, hard pillars. Number 1, his actual strength and means. Number 2, the specific circumstances of time and place. And number 3, his actual income and expenditure. He takes all the emotion, all the flattery, completely out of the equation and just looks at the spreadsheet. He demands a grounded assessment of reality. Section 3, the masterstroke, deconstructing bad advice. It's not just that he runs the numbers, though. He turns his analytical mind toward the actual nature of the advice he just got. He realizes that getting counsel isn't just about the information. It's about deeply understanding the underlying motives of the people giving it. And this brilliantly illustrates 3 psychological traps of the echo chamber. First, some counselors speak out of pure friendship. They love him so much, they literally can't see the risks. Second, flatterers speak from self-interest, saying whatever is agreeable just to protect their own standing. And third, some advisors are just looking at what personally benefits them. I mean, ask yourself if you've ever fallen into one of these traps. It's a stunningly accurate breakdown of why inner circles fail. So realizing his entire inner circle is totally compromised by at least one of these motives, he knows he desperately needs an unvarnished outsider perspective. Making the call based on his own resolution alone? Way too dangerous. So he shoulders the weight of the whole thing and sends a swift messenger to summon Krishna from Dwaravati. He zeroes in on Krishna as the one guy who has immeasurable energy, unparalleled wisdom, and, most importantly, operates completely outside of Yudhishthira's daily political bubble. The sheer contrast here is absolutely crucial. On the left, you've got this flawed inner circle, blindingly driven by friendship or self-interest or personal gain. On the right, you have Krishna. Yudhishthira specifically picks him because, as the text states, Krishna has conquered both desire and anger. He is completely above those petty motives. When you're making a life-altering decision, you absolutely need someone who is entirely detached from the outcome. You need someone who isn't afraid of you, who doesn't want anything from you, and who can just give you the cold, objective truth. When Krishna finally shows up at Indraprastha after a super quick journey, Yudhishthira receives him with massive respect. They do the pleasantries, they catch up, and then Yudhishthira makes this incredible final plea. It behoveth thee to tell me what is most beneficial to the world. Notice what he doesn't say. He doesn't ask, hey, how do I do this easily? Or tell me I'm right for wanting this. No, he completely strips away his own ego. He's asking for what is objectively, universally best, even if it's the hardest possible path. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this. Yudhishthira's ancient dilemma, it is incredibly modern. We all have this natural tendency to surround ourselves with people who just nod along, who tell us our ideas are genius, and who push us to just go for it without discussion. But true leadership is having the wisdom to realize when you're standing in an echo chamber. So ask yourself, who is the Krishna in your life? Who can you actually trust to tell you the hard truths when everybody else is just clapping? Finding that person and having the humility to actually listen to them, well, that might just be the most important decision you ever make.